Welcome back, friends. I am up at the cabin and super hot out here, by the way. Probably upper 80s right now, and it's kind of in the evening. I'm hoping it cools down, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So as you can see, cabin's right here. I mentioned that we're going to be putting in a well. So I'll show you kind of where, I'll just kind of show you what happened with that, and then I'm going to do some other stuff here. I have some trees that I'm going to cut down. I periodically go around the property and I look for dead trees, and there's a few that I noticed as I was driving around. So it's going to be starting to get into this fire season, and before it gets too late into the season, I'd like to cut some of these trees down just so we don't have that kind of fire hazard. Everything else out here looks pretty green. The trees are looking really healthy this year, but there's a few dead ones, so I'm going to take care of those. All right, so when the well driller came up here, which by the way, we are still scheduled, everything seems to be on schedule for that. It's going to be about a month and a half out, which is good. So we were up here and I thought, okay, I'm going to ask him to put the well in right over there. So you got the cabin right there and kind of right in this area. Let me show you. So I was just thinking, you know, pretty close to the cabin or a house if we move this thing. We're talking about moving the cabin someday. And this is the spot where you'd want to put a house because it has the view. It's awesome, awesome view. This is where you'd want to be. And so we'd probably just develop this spot and put it right over here, kind of right, you know, somewhere in here in this grove of weeds and trees and stuff. So instead of doing that, he suggested that we put it far away from the cabin, down the road there. I'll show you kind of where we're thinking. But what he was saying is it's a lot easier to pump water uphill than pump sewer downhill, because if you have to run a pump to get the sewer to go downhill, go over a bump and down to where it perks, that's going to be expensive and run a lot of power. So he was saying if we put the well right there, that may end up very well being the place that on this property or in this area that perks out for a septic. And so that means you've just taken that spot. So by putting the well 100, 200 feet away, 150 feet away, 200 feet away, you're not having to worry about that. I can use anywhere around here, over there, right there where the ground slopes down, rotate over here. There's a spot right there that the ground, you can't really tell, but the ground slopes down a little bit. It'd be perfect. And that's actually really close to the cabin. Or ideally, if it perks out right next to the cabin, well, it's a super easy septic to install. So I kind of understood that. And what he was saying is he just wanted the well at least 100 feet away from any potential septic system sites, which that's a really good point. So what we decided on is a spot over here, and I'll show you where we're going to go. So here we got the cabin in the background. We got the cabin in the background. Let's walk down the road and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. We talked about this spot right here being for the shop. That would work, and then you could actually get water to the shop really easily by doing this. But you just walk down here, not too far away, but you know, it's a distance. So it's super easy to do this. And so I said, well, what about this spot right here? Look at that spot right there. It's already cleared off. It's just kind of a grassy area. There's no trees. There's a couple of big trees right here, but there's nothing right here. It's just open. He goes, I could get my truck in there tomorrow and do that. No problem. He can just back it right in, punch the well in right there. So that's what we're going to do. Plus, it's sort of close to the property line of my in-laws, so they bought the property next door to us years ago, and so we could even share it, you know, with them or whatever. The other thing about it is the property, the lower pad of the property is just right there, super close. So it's not, well, you can't really see it through the trees, but it's just right directly there. So we could actually plumb some water under there and irrigate like the garden area if we ever did a garden back there. I got my side-by-side loaded up, and by the way, this thing, the Rhino right here, this is a game changer. You know, you can head out. Mrs. D and I were able to take this out and just have some fun with it. Picking some berries, we were able to take a little ride and go on some trails around here, which is great. But, you know, I use it a lot for this kind of stuff. You know, got the chainsaw in there, some water, some gas, everything's in there. It's just easy to hop in and take off around the property and kind of survey it and see what you've got going on. So I'm going to take this down and we're going to get started on this project before it gets any later. Okay, so as you can see, we got some small trees here that need to be cut down. There's a dead one there, a dead one there, and a little dead one there. They're pretty small. They're little tiny things. I think there's one in there, and there's one more over that I want to get. There's one more over at that other side. So I'm going to try to get that as well. And I think there might be one or two more along here, but these are small. I can knock these down real quick. I just want to get them on the ground, and then we'll process them out later, but I just want to get them on the ground. So let's get that taken care of before it gets too late. Check this out. Check this puppy out right here. We're going to be using this to cut the tree down. This is my new 261 electronic ignition, so CM I think is what it is, 261 CM. I sold my other couple of saws I've had for years and years and got this one, Pro Saw. Everything magnesium, metal, feels really good. I haven't used it a lot. I have about 2 tanks through it. I think I'm almost done with the second tank. And so I'm still kind of getting used to it and seeing how it works, but it seems to be working pretty well so far. All right, that takes care of that little section. I'll move down a little bit and see what we got. There's actually 3 of them, 3 more in there I didn't even see, so that was good. And they're small and just dead, super dead. So keep these other ones healthy. The other ones look pretty good, but there's kind of a patch of them in here that are kind of dying. All right, on second thought, I'm going to wait to pull that one down until I have a spotter. It's not that big, it is dead, and I don't like cutting dead trees down unless I have somebody really watching what's going on. I don't think it's been dead all that long, and I can't tell if there's leaves on it still at the top, like a little bit. I think it might have some sort of plant that wrapped around. What I'm going to do right now is pick some thimbleberries, or as Maddie calls them, thumbleberries. I see a whole bunch of them out here, and I'm gonna go get a cup, and I'm gonna pick some, and then I'm gonna head out. It's getting later, and I want to get back. I knew I wasn't gonna have enough, very much time, but I figured I'd do this video, cut down a couple of those really small trees. Those things are like real big fire hazards. This one is a fire hazard, but it's just, I don't want to cut it down right now. Got some wild raspberries and some thumbleberries for Maddie, as she says. So she'll be happy with that tonight. You ever seen that right there? A St. John's wort. I have to try some of that sometime, huh? Move? Yeah. Moving. Here we go. Now we're blocked in. How's that look? I'll have to winch that out later. But that came out pretty good. Nice and rainy, a little bit of firewood.